Yeah, we're going to look at AMD today, and there were a few breakout longs that I had, and this might not have actually been the one that I traded the best. I actually would say that I made the biggest mistake in this one. That's why I want to go over it here, because it was maybe one of the first. They did catch an upgrade. The story was more about how far down some of these tech names had come. It was a doom and gloom type of Monday morning, horrible last week in terms of price action for the broad market. Tech was weak as well, and when you had that kind of a pullback, I mean, you look at these wick tops on your 15-minute, and you just see a huge drawback, and that's really just a couple of days worth of price action. I'm only really showing you Thursday and Friday, and then of course today. But it was this bottom that got put in here right around $89. You got this nice little 88 high to about 89 bottom here. It did get violated right at the close, and then in the pre-market we're starting to try to break out from it. And I think one of the key things to finding a good long, you can find breakouts through highs, but a lot of times when everybody is thinking the worst, you can find some of these nice breakout bottom longs. And that's what I was looking for on AMD here today. And it was pretty simple. We just looked at the bottom end of that range. You had your support there in the 88.90 range. And then you had these tops from Friday afternoon at 89.25. So it's a breakout through 89.25. Now, in theory, you do want to give this one a little bit more room. We'll come back to that a bit later. And when you look at that high from Friday, that was at 91.50. Now, I noted that in my preparation. And we went over these trades. And we always do this in the morning. That's why I tune in right away at 8:30 when we go over the plan of action, because I said to myself, 91.50, and if we break that, it should be heading to 95. Yet, however, when you get into a breakout trade, a lot of times it is easy, because I'm intending on taking a shallow profit if it's there, it's easy to get something out too early. I'm staring in the face of 90 and just saying, okay, fine, I'm going to take some profit off because you see it in front of you. And then I do the same thing when it goes another 50 cents. I get caught in that hole, broke out at the quarter, take some out in front of the evens. Then you're in that mindset of, okay, every 50, every 25 cents is going to make sense, ignoring the fact that we had a 91.50 at the top where you eventually made a double top. The other side of the equation here is, while this was happening, you had a market that couldn't decide what it wanted to do. You had the ES, which was incredibly weak and negative. You had the NASDAQ trying to run positive and struggling to break out. So that's the context of the move, and it causes me to take some out too early. On top of this, as we start grinding back down, when we retest this 88.80 area, and we had talked about this price area being significant, that little support, this doesn't actually get broken. However, I end up trailing myself out, because when we're making successive lower highs on the way down into that move, this was when the NASDAQ was trying to break out. All of a sudden, tech is trying to break, and AMD now looks relatively weak. So a little bit of over-analysis on my part. I hung on to two longs that both continued to work and said, AMD right now is the most relatively weak out of the three. I'm just going to take it off. But it never violated that support area. And that's the key thing. When you have a plan of action, I don't care if you win on a trade. Ultimately, this is going to end up being a positive trade. But it doesn't matter. If you have a plan of action, which was, there's our support area, never violated, our target's 91.50, why are we not getting anything out in that range? Why are we not holding a bit more shares into that range? You've got to make sure that you're following your plan of action. There's nothing wrong at times to reacting on the fly to market conditions. I'm always going to note relative strength and weakness, and AMD was definitely relatively weak there. That might have been enough reason to not reload at that price, but it certainly wasn't enough not to give it that extra 30 or 40 cents to hang on to it past that range and then hold it for that 91.50. It's always about getting better. Doesn't matter win or lose. When you analyze a trade, do not analyze your P&L. Don't necessarily only analyze the result. Did you follow your plan as a first and last thing that you should always be asking yourself. Today, I didn't really follow that plan very well. It was laid out and have to be accountable to it. That's why we do these. Still, it is what it is. Tomorrow is going to be another day, and we just want to make sure we're always executing our plan as best as we can.